We Only Find Them When They're Dead is a really good number one by Boom Studios. I enjoyed it a lot. This was written by Al Ewing, illustrated by Simone with color assists by Mariasara Miotti. I probably mispronounced someone's name. This is a really fun beginning to what I think is going to be a pretty epic story. We start out, the year was 2323. The ship was the Vihan, an autopsy ship with a crew of 4. I remember the first time I saw a god. I was 5, like you. My father, your grandfather, took me out in this very ship. He wanted me to respect them. The asteroids were all mined out, he said, even here at the far edge of the galaxy, the shore of the big dark. So there was no work for old mining ships. The old ways were dying. But then, they came to save us, and we learned new ways. This will be your ship one day. Now it just struck noon. 8 bells. We set time by them. Do you see it, Georges? Mother, why isn't it moving? We only find them when they're dead. So this story is about these gods who end up dying. They are huge creatures, mammoth creatures out in, a ship is the size of just a speck of hair of one of these creatures. Gorgeous creatures that die, and their organs are harvested for who knows, very important minerals and things that these humans need. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. The year is now 2367. The ship is the Vihan 2, an autopsy ship with a crew of 4. And it's this kid, and he's the captain of this ship. And I like it. I like how this kind of introduces the characters. It has them doing their jobs, and then it says Georges Malik, the captain, and it kind of has an introduction for each one of these characters as it go through it, and they're talking, and they're just introducing themselves as we move through this, and they come upon these gods. It says, the first time you see a god is a moment you never forget. Their impossible scale, the sheer immensity of them, their impossible beauty. The gods are always beautiful, and the gods are always dead. As beautiful as this concept is, and as gorgeous as this is, you'd think, and I just kind of feel this way, if a god is a god, wouldn't they be eternal? Seems to me like this is just a larger being, maybe a giant. That's what I would call them, maybe. You see how small the ships are, far away from these gods. So this continues. You see some of the politics, and you see kind of what these people have to go through. The government doesn't really like them much, it seems, and everyone is really competing over these goods. And I kind of cringed a little bit. I cringed quite a bit when I saw what they were doing to this body, this corpse, this giant, gorgeous body out in space. They're cutting the lips off of it, cutting the skin off of it. And these pieces of skin, they're harvesting the pieces, and it's like meat. They're putting it aboard the ship. It's kind of gross. It's kind of gross, but I'm telling you, I don't know if I had to say, this doesn't remind me of any comic book that I've honestly ever read. But then again, haven't really read a lot of sci-fi. I will say this, kind of reminds me of if the crew of Firefly was to scavenge the bodies of gods that had died in the middle of the universe on the outskirts. That would be this book. So, if I had to give this a rating, I would say 4 out of 5. That's a pretty big deal, I'd say. A lot of interpersonal conflict. The main character of this, he comes in contact with this governmental representative that ended up killing this captain's parents, the same woman that we saw that flashback at the very beginning of this book. That's that's a pretty big deal, and it sets the stakes high for his emotional involvement in the future story and what could possibly happen. We have a lot of suspense coming down to it. Ships are competing over these minerals that they're harvesting. They're competing over being able to cut up these bodies. Apparently, each body part has very important, different resources that they have to mine. And at the very end, this is a really neat ending. If you don't want to hear what happens at the very end, I want you to go ahead and dip out right now. This is the same captain, the kid at the very beginning. He says, "I was 5 years old when I saw my first dead god. In 3 days' time, we'll see a live one." Pretty cool. I'm going to pick up number 2. I just definitely will. If you've read this book, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Hey, look, I just want to say this. I usually don't talk about these kinds of things, but apparently at some point of the way, I followed the wrong person on Twitter. And at that point, I was put on what's called a blockchain. And so the writer of this, his name's Ewing. I don't know anything about him. I've never had any correspondence with him. He blocked me and every single person that follows whoever it was that I ended up on a blockchain with. And so basically, I can't communicate with him, never see any of his posts. I'm not allowed to. He's made it impossible for anyone who follows specific people to be able to contact him or talk to him whatsoever. I just think that's interesting. So I don't know, when I look at things and I look at companies' policy, and it doesn't make much sense for people to do that, in the sense that, I usually don't do reviews by people who just block me for no reason with no correspondence. I don't know. It's a great book. This guy apparently is a great writer. This is, he did Immortal Hulk, and I dipped out after a few issues. I haven't read a ton of Hulk, but I'm telling you, everyone says it's one of the best series ever written with the Hulk. And hey, I have been reading some of Peter David's stuff. That's going to be really hard to compete with Peter David, but people say that he's right up there with the best Hulk writers ever. We'll see where this series goes. I don't read a whole lot of sci-fi, but I'm definitely going to be checking this out. Let me know what you thought of this book. You're going to check it out, or any other Boom Studios books. They're doing some great stuff. My very favorite is Something is Killing the Children. And I like Tynan's other book that he's doing too, which is Wind with Boom. It's a little bit of a fantasy story. It's pretty cool. It's honestly, 3 out of 5. It's all right. That's why, I'm probably going to drop it and not keep buying it. But I liked it for what it was. I bought the books, and I thought it was cute, really neat and endearing. I don't know. Kind of talk about this article that is up here. We only find them when they're topping the bestseller chart, is the name of this. This is a Rich Johnson thing. This is the top 10 Bleeding Cool bestseller list as compiled by a number of comic stores from their sales on Wednesday and Thursday. That's only 2 days. It measures what are known as the Wednesday Warriors, those who can't wait till the weekend to get this week's comics. Though, thanks to DC, Tuesday Titans too. This is the only direct market comic book sales chart in the entire industry right now. He does a lot of that, doesn't he, Rich Johnson? We are the only ones that are, I'm the only one that are, it's so weird. If any other retailers would like to report their top sellers, please contact Rich Johnson at Bleeding Cool. Can't imagine he's getting a lot of people banging his door down. Batman topping the charts is no surprise. Neither is Empire coming second and Wolverine third. But the launch of We Only Find Them When They're Dead in fourth place is quite an achievement and gives Al Ewing 2 books in the top 4. That is fantastic. It just goes to show you how good his writing is. Oh, I guess Al Ewing is doing Empire. See, I didn't know that. I guess that's why people are liking it so much. I read a couple of the Empire tie-ins here, and it was just the X-Men. I really liked it. It was good. I haven't heard. I've heard mixed reviews about Empire. So I haven't been checking it out. Honestly, I haven't had time with all that reading. I'm going to put a lot of time into Ten of Swords. So this is it. This is the 10 best-selling comics of the week, because apparently this is the whole point of this entire article. It says here, Batman number 98 is number 1. Empire number 6 is number 2. Wolverine number 5 is number 3. I loved it. I enjoyed Wolverine a lot. We only find them when they're dead is number 4. That's great. It's Boom Studios. Look, this had a huge amount of pre-orders. More so than any indies have really been seeing. Put it into perspective. This had about 4 times the amount of pre-sales as Jonathan Hickman's Decorum by Image. So you're seeing a little bit of pushback from Boom Studios. They have a lot of the same kind of indie type styles, quote unquote. Looks like number 5 was Deceased Dead Planet. Number 3, Fantastic Four was at number 6. Justice League 52 was at 7. Marvel Zombies Resurrection was at 8. Strange Adventures number 5 was at 9. And Black Widow number 1 was at 10. That's nice. See, I haven't checked out Black Widow. I've heard a couple people on Twitter say it was pretty good, so I might go ahead and maybe give it a look. It just depends. It's all about time, honestly. I will say this. I did check out some of Strange Adventures. First couple of issues were really good, honestly. I checked it out. The third one was just, I didn't like it. It just, it made me feel really icky, actually. And then I dipped out. That's it. If I feel that way from reading a book, I'm not gonna read it anymore. I don't want to feel depressed. It's almost like, so who's the most depressing writer that I can possibly talk about? Chuck Palahniuk. His stuff has always made me just feel horrible about the world around me. So I don't read his stuff. I don't like deathism. I don't like the idea that glorifying death and praising it as some sort of wonderful thing, and it just seems depressing, and just I'm not into this kind of thing. Yeah, I don't like Strange Adventures, this whole being sad about everything and just kind of a retired superhero being down on his luck and just creeping along, and I'm not into that kind of thing. So once again, this book, absolute recommend. The bottom line, We Only Find Them When They're Dead, is good. It's a good book. I'm going to check out number 2. Let me know what you think. Support your local comic shop. You are the gateway into comics. That's the first clue.